Hi guys. It's certainly been a while. I don't know how long, but here I am anyhow. Here we are. And well, life has been busy. You've heard all the stories before anyhow, so we won't bore you with those. But we are back with a knife, a bit of a special knife. So the knife I'm going to show you today is this knife, and this is the Bray Mears Bushcraft, the woodlore knife. It's a recent version of it. It's been made by a couple of different makers over the years. In actual fact, I had the very original woodlore version made by Alan Wood, and I gifted it to a friend. I know, I'm a great friend, you're right there. I don't even know if he knew the value of it, but at the time it wasn't quite as valuable as it would be now. He still has that knife. Lovely knife, very similar to this anyhow, except rather than the black McCarthy scales we have here, it's maple. The scales were maple on it. Beautiful knife. Now these are pretty expensive. Some people would say maybe too expensive for what they are. I don't know. It's a good knife. I like it, and it's a knife that is of legendary status, and there aren't many more of those type of knives that I can think of. A Skookum bush tool that was made by Garcia knives, and of course the design was kind of influenced by what the late great Morris Gahansky felt was necessary in a good survival knife. The Andal knife is another one of legendary status, and of course the Bray Mears woodlore, and perhaps after that maybe we have the Tom Brown tracker knife, which I have the original Beck version of that as well. Anyhow, this knife, like I said, it is expensive, but do you know what? I like my knives. I used to use this an awful lot, and I showed it to a student on a class, and he managed to drop it, and a little dent came into the blade, being a full flat Scandi, a little bit of a chip. And of course, it's because of the cost of the knife, I'd be capable of going at it on stones myself, but I didn't want to, so I sent it back to Emberleaf. Emberleaf are the makers of this knife now, and they did a whole rejig on it for me. They didn't even charge me. They were very good guys, but I haven't used it an awful lot since then, because it was quite dirty. It was a little bit messed up when it went back to them, wasn't it, Mac? Yeah, like I had used it a lot. I'll use it a lot again. I like it. I like Bray Mears, okay? In actual fact, I'll tell you a funny story about Bray Mears. I've never met the man, but he is of legendary status, and I've always liked Bray. But we come from a town in County Wicklow called Bray, County Wicklow, and at one point in time, it's a good while ago now, but something in the newspaper was covering survival, and I was interviewed for it. And a quick-witted young fella that worked in Dunn's stores, food store in Bray, decided to give me the moniker Bray Mears, and it has kind of stuck since, hasn't it, Mac? Yeah. So anyhow, the knife performs very well, as you would expect. That's a figure 4 trap that I made with it. So what is this knife? I suppose the best way I could describe it is like an unbreakable Mora. It's, you know, it's still really only about the palm width across in length and blade, a 4-inch blade. That's in or around what I favour these days. The older I get, the smaller the knife becomes for survival. And of course it's very strongly built, so it's able to quite happily address battening. So we're going down through some dry birch here, and it's, you know, it'll do this kind of work all day long. So why do I favour this kind of 4-inch size? Well, there's a reason why I favour that. It's a knife that you'll find that you would be inclined to use for performing most tasks. It's not a cumbersome knife, it's very unobtrusive, and one of the modalities that I teach in survival is that your knife, you should be able to have it with you at all times, and that's vitally important. So your kukri knife, fantastic knife, and we've covered this before. It's probably not going to be with you when you go out fishing or whatever, when these survival scenarios can actually occur. But a knife like this, you can carry it on you, you can have it ready to go at any given time. You can clean game with it, you can gut a rabbit, you can do skin out a squirrel, all that good stuff, right? And you can do a trout, okay? So it addresses all the requirements that we pretty much have in survival. We're back to this terminology of wrist, tick, tight, timber, like that, we won't have a need for anything larger than that in survival. I enjoy this knife very, very much. I'm not saying that you have to go out and spend the type of money that I spent on this knife to be able to survive. You can do it quite adequately with a small knife like a Mora, you can. But here's the thing, and this is maybe a reason why I don't use this on courses so much anymore. When I bring this knife to a course and I'm teaching feather sticks and different cuts or carving of dexterous traps or whatever, my students assume that this has magical powers because it's a Bray Mears woodlore knife, and the only reason that I can do stuff exponentially better than my students is because of this knife. So as a result, I quite often do the courses now with a Mora knife because we get over that, okay? But I do really enjoy this knife. Of course, it has the 90-degree spine. I do carry this knife as a neck knife, as I do with most of my knives, and lovely leather sheath with it. In addition to that, this is what's on my neck pretty much all the time as well. It's a mini survival kit, should we say. So we have a peelless whistle, which is vitally important in the event that you're trying to get help. We have a full Bic lighter in an unnatural colour that if it should fall, you can find it. I have a good bit of insulating tape on this, which can be used for rudimentary plasters and stuff like that, which plenty of people can attest. I often do use it for that. You never know when you need a bit of insulating tape. And I have this extremely, you have to come in and look at this, guys, extremely anorexic Light My Fire ferro rod. That's all that's left of that, okay? So I think it's time for a new one, and I'm pretty sure Father's Day is coming up. Anyhow, there are two methods that I teach regarding striking a ferro rod. The first one is where you hold your hand, you anchor your knife above whatever tinder that you want to ignite, and you draw the ferro rod back, okay? So what you can see, what's going on here, if we unpack this, because our hand isn't moving forward, we're not dispersing any of the tinder. And I'm sure Natalie wants to laugh behind the camera because my daughter always slags me.
I'm thinking of the kids slagging you.
So that's how we do that, okay? The other method, right, is if we're using, say, somewhat questionable tinder, and we are using our thumb here to push, and you'll see now in a second, can you see the intensity of that spark, okay? So that's what we would use to get less than ideal tinder going. And it's probably my favorite method in this environment and this country, because stuff is always pretty much very wet, okay? So we push, and then away it goes, okay? And it has this vibrancy. You can see it even coming back with the ferro rod with me there. It gives a huge amount of concentrated spark into one particular area, and that's what we need when we're trying to ignite certainly questionable type tinder. So guys, come on in for a close-up of this before we go. If you have any questions, put them in the comments box. So guys, just to remind you, we don't need any nasty comments about this knife or anything like that. Bray Mears is a legend of bushcraft and survival, an absolute legend, right? And if that gentleman didn't know how to design a knife that would be suitable for purpose, I give up, okay? I really do. It is an expensive knife. Am I saying that you need to have this knife? No, I'm not saying that. But I want to have that knife because I have a connection myself with Bray Mears, and as I do with Morris Kahansky and a lot of the fantastic great survival instructors throughout the world. So guys, hopefully we're going to try and be back more frequently in the future. I'm not going to make a promise because I don't like breaking promises, but I'm certainly going to try and get one video up a week. So guys, thanks for your patience, and it's great to see us.